song of creation, the wind and the rhythm of the rain. Oh, the thunder, it speaks of your power, but there's something in the sound of the saints. I've been washed in the roar of the ocean, found peace in the echoes of a cave, and the trees of the field, they clap their hands, but there's something in the sound of the saints. From the lips of those you saved, a redemption song will rise, with a sound so full it cracks the sky. Whoa, we sing hallelujah. Whoa, we sing amen. Hear the sound of the saints as we march on to Zion, singing hallelujah, amen. Singing hallelujah, amen. I will hear the chorus of the angels, a forever symphony of praise. I long to hear the voice of my Savior, and He hears us, the sound of the saints. From the lips of those you saved, a redemption song will rise. Every tongue, every tribe, hear the church yoke ride. Oh, we sing hallelujah.
All right, what's up, Mouth Pagers? Wow, it is Wednesday, March 20th. Chag Sameach Purim. It is Purim, everyone. Happy Purim. Happy Purim, everyone. Wow. Happy Wednesday also. Yom Revi'i is Wednesday. See what happens when I sound like an auctioneer? I talk so fast that even what happened to my thing? Okay. Even I can't even hear me sometimes. All right. I don't know why my hair is giving me all kinds of problemos today. All right, let's try that again. All right, what's up, Mouth Pagers? I'm Rabbi Yakis. I am a rabbi. I know, can you believe it? Isn't that crazy? Wow. I'm located in Santa Rosa, which is a suburb of San Francisco. Wow, the San Francisco treat sitting right in front of you. We're an online spiritual community, and we're an online Jewish synagogue. Every Monday through Thursday, live at 7 o'clock-ish Pacific time, and every Friday is our Shabbat on the Go service. So check us out every week. We love you all so much, and thank you for all your support. This is the best part. We're at 182,000 diehard Mouth Pagers, or over 182,000 diehard Mouth Pagers liking us and following us on Facebook. We just got another 200 likes last night, so we are almost to 183,000. Not there yet, but almost there. So we thank you so much for all your support. So let's do a quick, what do we want to do tonight? What's the new? What's the one? Okay, so we're going to do the Moda'ani. Moda'ani lefenecha melech v'chaim shekazarta b'nishmati b'klam ra b'natecha. I give thanks to you, living and enduring sovereign, for returning my soul to me in compassion. Great is your faithfulness. All right, so tonight we're going to kind of tone it down a little bit. I know I normally just love just to go off and do my little rants and raves, but tonight is a special night. It is the book of Esther. It is Purim, the book of Esther. It's also a holiday, Purim. This is when the Jews, another holiday, another freed holiday, another tragic holiday that our people dodged another bullet of being annihilated. It just seems like most of our holidays are all about annihilation. Passover, Hanukkah, Holocaust, Yom HaShoah. I mean, it just seems like all of our holidays, and we have such a great sense of humor. We seem to be able to always have a smile on our faces. It's just crazy. I don't know. It's awesome, isn't it? Okay, so let's begin. So I'll try to make this quick. We'll see where I get on it, and I'll maybe sum it up a little bit. So, a faithful party. It all began in ancient Persia. In 4th century BCE, the Holy Temple that had stood in Jerusalem was destroyed more than 50 years earlier. The Jews were subjects of the mighty Persian Empire that extended over 127 lands. 3 years after King Ahasuerus ascended the Persian throne, when he felt secure in his new position, he celebrated by throwing a 180-day-long party for all his subjects. Following this extravagant gala, Ahasuerus hosted a smaller week-long party for the residents of the capital. In the palace's women's quarter, Ahasuerus' wife, Queen Vashti, hosted her own party. On the 7th day of this party, Ahasuerus' heart was merry with wine. And he commanded his wife Vashti to appear before all of the partying men. He wanted to show her off because of her beauty. Vashti balked at his request. And at the advice of Ahasuerus' advisor, Ahasuerus ordered Vashti's execution. So now he doesn't have a wife because she disobeyed him. Now check this out. She was the queen and she disobeyed her husband and he had her executed. Man, could you imagine having that today in America? All the marches and the riots. It'd be chaos in the streets. It would. It would just be nuts. But back then, it was different. It was different back then. The king gave an order. She was executed. It would just be chaos today here if that happened. So the beauty contest. When Ahasuerus felt better after his wife's execution, he was now lonely and wanted a new wife. So now he wanted a new wife after he killed his first wife. So his servant suggested that he orchestrated a beauty pageant. So officers would be appointed in all the king's lands to find the perfect woman for Ahasuerus. And the woman who would find favor in the king's eyes would be the new queen. So we'll pause right there, put that on the shelf, go to the next chapter here. The leader of the Jews at that time was a Shushanite resident named Mordecai. Very popular name in this book, by the way. He had a cousin named Esther, who was orphaned as a young girl. Mordecai raised her and treated her as his own daughter. Though she had no desire to be the queen, Esther was forcibly taken to the king's harem to participate in this contest. While all the other contestants beautified themselves with perfumes and lotions, Esther did nothing. When Esther appeared before the king, he immediately liked her, and Esther became the new queen of Persia. But as Mordecai's directive, Esther refused to divulge her nationality even to the king. Okay, so let's back up again. So let's think about this in retrospect. Because every time we read the books or we see movies of anything, it seems like Hollywood always portrays everybody to look the same. But that's not necessarily true. Just like in Egypt, if you watch the Ten Commandments with Charlton Heston, they say that they automatically knew that when the Pharaoh's daughter picked up Moses, that they automatically knew that he was a Hebrew. But when I'm watching that movie, I'm like, well, how do they know? Well, duh, because Egypt is in Africa, so they were probably much darker than the Hebrews were. So it was pretty obvious, right? Because their skin was much darker in Africa back in those days, right, than it was in Israel. So probably the same thing. How do they not know unless she looked Persian? Because in Israel they have a lot of Middle Eastern looks, where in some parts of Israel they look extremely Middle Eastern. In other parts they look more European. So in this case, Esther must have looked very Middle Eastern, to be able to blend in, because they didn't want her to reveal that she was a Jew, so they wanted her to blend in. So Mordecai to the rescue, right? Shortly after Esther became queen, Mordecai overheard two of the king's chambermaids discussing a plot to assassinate the king. Mordecai had them reported, and the traitors were hanged. We're going to stop there. This was the first part of how the king started to trust Esther more and more and more. Okay, just wanted to give you that. Meanwhile, Haman, one of the king's ministers, or right hand, one of Ahasuerus' right hand men, was now newly promoted to prime minister. Haman was a very much of a Jew hater, did not like the Jews. In fact, he made it very well known. Immediately after his promotion, the king issued a decree ordering everyone to bow down whenever Haman appeared. Now Haman would walk around the large idol hanging from a chain around his neck. When Mordecai, a proud Jew, refused to bow down before Haman, Haman was super ticked off. We'll just leave it at that. Ticked off. He resolved to take revenge against all the Jews and threw lots to determine the lucky day when he would implement his plan. So basically right here, when he saw, now it says that Mordecai, but there was several Jews that refused to bow, because one of the things about the Jewish culture is we only bow to God. That's it. We only bow to God. We take no bows. We praise nobody else but God. That's what we're supposed to do. Now, do I see that all the time? No. But we're not supposed to. Only bow to God. That's it. Only take a knee to God. That's it. So Haman was furious that he refused to bow, and all the others around him. So now he's, and back in those days, I mean, look, perfect example. Ahasuerus, King Ahasuerus, executed his own wife because she failed to do what he asked. So you could just imagine that if his wife, who is the queen, who these Jews were not even near the queen's statue, now that Haman was very upset and wanted to have them annihilated. Haman approached Ahasuerus and offered him 10,000 silver talents in exchange for permission to exterminate the Jews. Ahasuerus, who was no friend of the Jews either, told Haman, the money is yours to keep and the nation is yours to do with whatever you please. Haman immediately sent proclamations to all the king's land. These declarations, sealed with the royal signet ring, ordered the people to rise up against the Jews and kill them, men and women and children, on the following day that they chose. Mordecai became aware of this decree. He rent his garments and donned sackcloth. He sent a message to Esther. So basically, he sent all this stuff, right? So basically, long story short, he sent a note to Esther, asking her to approach the king and beg him to spare her people. Esther responded that accordingly to the rules, anyone who entered the king's presence unsummoned would be put to death unless the king extended to that person his golden scepter. Esther said, I have not been summoned by the king for 30 days already. So long story short, Esther didn't know what to do. She was frustrated because she didn't want her people to be executed. So Mordecai sent another message to explain to her the importance of getting this done in a timely fashion. So Esther agreed to approach the king, but she asked Mordecai to gather all the Jews in Shushan and let them all fast for 3 days and 3 nights. And after this fast, Esther would put her life in her hands and approach the king. Mordecai complied with Esther's request. So here we go. Now they're freaking out, right? The Jews are like really nervous on what's going to happen. Mordecai was trying to calm the Jewish people down in the land. Esther was able to convince her husband, King Ahasuerus, of what Haman was going to do and how poisonous he was. After she was able to convince him, the king ended up hanging or executing Haman. Of course, I'm sure we read this and it sounds pretty quick. I'm sure there was a lot of strategy. There was a lot of conversation. I'm sure this took some time to have this in place. And then Mordecai was in better graces with the king. But here's the purpose. Here's the whole moral of the story. Esther was able to convince her husband to save her people and convince of who she was and to convince them that this is wrong. In some ways, this is kind of like interracial marriage, because the Persian culture was way different than the Israeli culture. And they even look much different in a lot of ways. So to them, it was kind of like interracial. So, you know, we talk about that a lot in America, about interracial weddings or interracial marriages or datings. And it's like, you hear it, it's like, oh, well, this is kind of new. But it's not new. It's been going on for thousands of years before us. And how do we decipher that? Now, of course, back then, it was way worse, because kings were able to do whatever they want. Here we have a lot more laws and rules. But for our people, this was another opportunity for us to celebrate. We celebrate in costumes. And a lot of Jews celebrate by wearing, a lot of people like to dress up like Mordecai or dress up like Esther to show the, you know, reenact this. And it's actually a celebratory festival. They make all kinds of good snacks and have a good party. In Israel, they all dress up. It's like their Halloween, basically. It's kind of funny how escaping annihilation, it becomes like a super duper holiday. It's crazy. We'll talk about this more and I'll dissect it more tomorrow. Day 2 of Purim. So, Chag Sameach Purim, everyone. I hope you enjoyed it. I know it wasn't the typical Rabbi Yak, yell, scream, getting all pumped up. But this is still my history, my people. I wanted to talk about this day because this is Purim, and I didn't want it to get away from us by just talking about, you know, different topics and try to get us pumped up. So, I hope you all enjoyed it. I love you all so much. Don't forget, check us out tomorrow. Help others to be nice. God bless. Lila Tov. I love you all. Have a wonderful Wednesday night. Amen. We'll end with a little tunage here.
You saved, a redemption song will rise with a sound so full it cracks the sky.
Yeah.
Oh, we sing higher. Oh, we sing
And the sound of the saints and we